So as you guys know, we got some spoilers for chapter 75 of Boruto, and it basically introduced us to a new Otsutsuki member called Shibai. Now I'm only going to focus on this part of the spoiler reveal because I think this part is very important, and I'm sure you guys have heard everything else from other creators, so I think that's fine. Now the reason why I decided to make this video is because I found something about this character or his new power source very confusing, and I'm referring to this new power source called Shinjutsu. But before we get into my problems with it, let's go over what was said. So Amado described Shibai Otsutsuki's abilities as divine arts, and different to ninjutsu and senjutsu. Not only skills of Ada but Code's claw marks are also Shinjutsu, divine jutsu ability, Kawaki, Sukina Hikona, and Daikokutin abilities as well. It also says here that by referring to Ada, Code, and Kawaki's inherited or implanted abilities, Amado says that unlike ninjutsu and senjutsu, you don't need to use hand signs to activate these abilities, which is what makes them divine abilities. And this is where the problem lies, and I don't really have a problem with the Shinjutsu portion of it. I think that's fine. You can name them whatever you want. You can say, okay cool, these things or these abilities that we've always known to be ninjutsu or dojutsu abilities are now Shinjutsu, right? It's a retcon, but I think it's fine. Or they could say, okay cool, they're still ninjutsu but a different subset. They're ninjutsu that doesn't require hand signs, so they're Shinjutsu, but they are subsets of ninjutsu, right? They could go that route, which I think it's fine. I don't think this is necessary, but you know, whatever. My problem with this is that they're calling it a divine ability because you don't use hand signs. Now the reason why I find this very weird is that there are multiple jutsus in Naruto that don't require hand signs, you know, whether it be Naruto's regular Rasengans or Sasuke's Chidori, which he no longer needs a hand sign to create, or multiple other jutsus used throughout the history of Naruto that never needed hand signs, right? And then you also have dojutsu abilities, right? They literally don't use hand signs. You just like look at something and it does something, right? So that's a weird part for me, right? Because unless you're saying that these dojutsu abilities aren't dojutsu abilities, they're shinjutsu. So what's the purpose of dojutsu if they're just Shinjutsu? Why not just call it Shinjutsu? Why was dojutsu ever invented? And if it's the same thing, why change it now? It's just kind of weird to just implement this new thing and saying that okay cool, no hand signs, anything you use that doesn't require a hand sign is now a divine ability. You know, like I think divine needs to be very constricted to a very few people. I don't think like everyone should be falling under the category of divine because they somehow learned an ability that doesn't require a hand sign. You know, like Konohamaru knows how to do the Rasengan. You know, let's stop this. So I don't know, I think it's just kind of weird to use the divine word so loosely, you know, to represent that thing. I think it would have been way better if they said, okay cool, right, you don't need hand signs, but there's also this other component, right, that means this is divine. And there's this other thing about like needing Kawaki's divine karma seal to resurrect his daughter and put her consciousness into Delta's body or a new body. I find that kind of weird because like you went through all this trouble to do this with the karma. Why not just use Boruto's karma? You know, like isn't Boruto like basically what Amado is saying here is that all karmas are just divine, you know, because they stem from the Otsutsukis, and all Otsutskis use Shinjutsu, because even Momoshiki knows about this Shinjutsu. He says it's real, and it's basically what Amado explains it to be. So I'm like, why did you do everything you did, you know, killed a bunch of kids, like all of that trouble you went through when Boruto was right there with Momoshiki's karma? You know, I think it's kind of weird. So yeah, I guess you could say that Amado didn't know that Boruto had the karma, but they suspected either Naruto, Sasuke, or someone to have it, you know. So I guess maybe he didn't know, and that might be why he went with Kawaki. So I guess you could explain it away that way. But I don't know, everything here just seems so fishy. It seems icky, you know. I don't believe anything that Amado is saying right here. And although I didn't really want to go into the other spoiler topics, but you know, just to mention it here, the funny thing about what Amado said, and then you have Shikamaru saying to Ada, yo, fact check this for me, and she did this with her like dojutsu ability and said that, oh, he's telling the truth. I find that kind of weird, right? Because if that's the case, didn't they say that Ada's ability doesn't go past the point she was created or born? You know, so that would be kind of weird, unless Ada was created before the thing with Delta and his daughter and all that jazz. Unless when they're talking about created or born, it's referred to when she got like, you know, ejected from the womb. And I find it kind of weird that that's where the ability started from, because when Amado said that it starts from when she was born. She can't say anything before that. I was thinking that, okay, cool, it makes sense because this is when he created her, so obviously her ability just started to work at this point in time. So that would mean that, okay, cool, she can see everything from this point onwards and everything in the past if she's in present time, but only until the moment she got the ability, which was when he remodeled her and created her, right? But I think now it seems as if this goes back to when she was born, as in an infant, way before she even had this ability, because she confirmed that Amado gave her these abilities, and Amado confirmed the same thing here. So I just find it weird that the ability goes back to when she was born, even though she never had the ability when she was born. So I just find that very weird. Unless someone is lying, which I will say is highly possible. I don't trust a thing Amado says here. And this thing about Ada's ability, which should not, I don't think should be the case. I think it kind of rubs me the wrong way. Overall, I think it was like a good reveal. The entire chapter looks very promising. I just had this thing with the ability and the Shinjutsu and the divine thing kind of being, you know, like washed out to mean less. You know, I just had a problem with that per se. We also got some new information stating that Amado believes that Shibai Otsutsuki conquered death by repeatedly reincarnating using karma and eating chakra fruits, and continued like this for thousands of years until he became a god. So basically what Ishiki was planning on doing, or what he told Code to do. And he says that Amado's hypothesis is that Shibai, or whatever it is called, deliberately abandoned his body, which is wild. And he also says here that Amado believes that it's possible that someone could have killed him, but since Amado doesn't know the truth of what happened, his hypothesis is that Shibai deliberately abandoned his body. Now the funny thing about this is that you could take this two ways. You could say that, yo, he had a karma seal on someone and he didn't wait until he was killed, because we're under the assumption that the Otsutsuki has to be killed to transfer their consciousness over to the other body, even if the body isn't ready. You know, so you could say that maybe if the bodies are theoretically, if Kawaki was at 100%, Ishiki or Jigen didn't need to die in order to transfer his consciousness over to Kawaki. He could have just done that and then taken over Kawaki's body without dying. You know, you could say that's possible, and that could have been what played out here with Shibai. You know, he could have just transferred his essence or soul into a suitable body and left his original body behind, which is what Amado used to create Ada and Damon. Or you could say that he ate so many fruits that he ascended to a spiritual level, like let's say Hagoromo, because Hagoromo, he died, he didn't ascend in the same way this guy did, right? He died and yet still is able to come back in chakra form and give people powers and have conversations and all that jazz. He just exists outside space and time in limbo, just roaming around in chakra form, right? You could say that's basically what happened with Shibai here. He just ascended naturally by just becoming too powerful to be tied down in a physical body. So I think that's also a possibility, which I think would be pretty cool. I like the latter more than the former, so I think that would be pretty cool. But I'm looking forward to the chapter itself. I guess we can theorize. I don't want to like go into everything right now. You know, the chapter comes out, we can get into more theories and stories and all that lovely thing. I think there's some mythological ties here to the character, but I'm gonna look into it and get back to you guys on that. But we'll go for more content on Boruto, JJK, and Chainsaw Man, of course. Guys, read Chainsaw Man, it's really good. But with that being said, if you like the video, drop a like. If you're new, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.